Welcome to the Real Kanan podcast. Join myself, Yovan, and Frank as we examine whether modern music is toxic and its profound effects on society. Dive into the true audience of pornography and its broader implications. Are women influencing social media trends and the cultural landscape? Finally, we also discuss the intersection of religion and modern music. Just off the face of that, I don't think this is a patriarchy. And so a lot of people are not going to be able to see that because they're not looking behind the scenes of how our social structure is being run. You know what I mean? It seems like the men are running shit, but we're not really running. We're just doing all the heavy lifting. But just because you're doing all the heavy lifting don't mean you're running shit. See what I mean? To me, it seems like women are running the world. You can see behind the scenes of what actually being dictated and moving around. Now we do things like the government overturned Roe versus Wade, but you know what I mean. That's not as much of a powerful move as Cardi B's wet ass pussy. That's not even as half as powerful as that. So we dropped Roe versus Wade in 2022, I think, and then Cardi B comes out with WAP a year later or less than a year later or something. She comes out with that next. That's gonna have 10 times the social impact than overturning Roe v. Wade, because Roe v. Wade is just gonna get offset by a spike in Plan Bs. So girls, ultimately, right now we may not have any empirical studies on how long-term use of Plan Bs or these pharmaceuticals are going to have on these girls in 10 years from now. We don't know, but it's just going to be a spike in Plan B sales. So it's offsetting a wet-ass pussy. There's nothing that we can do to swing back at.
Would you recommend women to listen to Cardi B?
It depends on the woman. I think women should listen to Cardi B. They should listen to Doja Cat. They're supposed to do that. Women have more of a group think than what men do. We're active energy, so a man thinks for himself. He's supposed to think for himself. If I got a group of guys and I'm thinking one thing, and the homies be like, "No, man, you're not right about that." Then okay, I'm not gonna be stupid. I'm gonna learn from the crew, but at the same time, men do think for themselves. So if guys, even if my crew gonna go do some stupid shit, if I'm not with that, it's like, okay, y'all my crew, but I'm not doing that. See what I'm saying? If the whole crew wanted to do LSD, I'm not with that. I don't want to try LSD.
But a lot of people will actually go with the group, even though they might be like, maybe this is not good, but hey, everybody's doing it, I'm gonna do it too.
Well, yeah, that's cool. I'll do some DMT. I'll do mushrooms. You know what I'm saying? Smoke some pot. There's stuff I will do, but like LSD,
there's a limit to it.
I got limits to what I'm gonna do.
Right.
And I really don't like messing with manufactured man-made shit. I'm not gonna. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Women, on the other hand, are governed by a group thing. So you have to think about it like this way. Everything about female species and the male species they are diametrically opposed to one. And so, like, they wrote a book years ago called "Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus" to kind of encapsulate just how different we are from each other. But that book really didn't go into it and scratch the surface because it didn't really go into the esoterics of it. But if a man is supposed to be an individual, if he's supposed to think for himself, he's supposed to be his own leader, and within that construct, a female is going to be just the opposite of that. They are influenced by the group. See what I mean? So that's why so many guys are intimidated by girls' night out or or your chick go taking a trip to Jamaica, or she taking a trip to Vegas, because it's the group thing. If all the girls in the group, or if 2/3 of the girls in the group is single, or 2/3 of the girls in the group is a hoe, and you only got a couple of the chicks in the group that's married, group think is gonna rule the day. I mean, it just is what it is. You see what I mean? Now that don't mean that every married woman is gonna go and make a poor decision for a family, but that's the exception to the rule. You gotta remember, that's the exception to the rule with women. So you can't have a wife that won't do that, or a girlfriend that won't, allow her to influence her, but she is the exception to the rule, because that is not how female energy moves through the world. It just don't move that way. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It wants to be influenced. So you'll have a girl in the group that she ain't got the nerve to put some strange dick in her mouth, but she knows if she's with her crew, they'll talk her into it. You know what I'm saying? It'll take the responsibility off her shoulders, because her crew make her fuck this dude, that on her own she would never make a poor decision like that. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so she knows how to submit to. And it's still, remember, that still doesn't mean, this is not a sweeping indictment of all women, because all women, just like all men, ain't gonna cheat. That's not what I'm saying. But we're going with the majority, not with the exception to the rule. You know what I mean? Just to explain this dynamic.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way before. It's a good point.
See what I mean? So I remember when Beyonce came out with Irreplaceable. It's catchy, it's, to the left, and she was dismissing the dude. So now you got chicks in healthy relationship, but they want to ride that wave. They want to diss their man, so they're kicking their man out, because Beyonce is kicking her man, and Beyonce is not kicking anybody out. She's in a marriage, and she's good. She's not trying to divorce her husband for any reason, but she's able to make a song that had such a social impact that she was getting a blowback for ruining relationships, as if Beyonce was telling these girls to break up in their relationship.
So you're saying in that specific moment, the group think is a lot of women have broke up with their man because of Beyonce. But if it was like that, a male singer did it for males, males wouldn't do that.
No, men ain't gonna do that. Because men are independent thinkers, and so a man can, male artists influence men. It's a different dynamic on the way men influence each other. You see what I mean?
Yeah. What that woman? What's the most popular singer now? The girl
You got Taylor
not the
Taylor
female.
Swift.
Yeah, Taylor Swift. What does she sing about? I don't listen to her.
I never heard
know
one of her
either.
songs. I don't know. I heard one song. I think.
Because she got to be a big influence, man. We better find out what she's singing about.
Yeah, she made this song "Anti-Hero," and what it was about was, in the relationship, she's saying, "I'm creating all these problems. I'm creating all these issues." So when you get an artist, especially a female artist, that's in a song that is in her song, she's holding herself accountable, and she's made a song out of holding herself accountable. Now you should get a degree of pushback in the female dynamic, where women start to hold themselves accountable. So she's gonna elevate certain members of her audience that realize what she's telling me is to hold myself accountable, because she's holding herself accountable. That's still black magic, but she's using it for good. See what I mean? Where Cardi B doesn't make music about holding herself accountable. She just make her music about pussy. And so that's going to drive certain dynamics. You know what I'm saying? That's going to drive, think about everything from, esoteric principle. Everything that's happening, all these things that are happening, is happening for our benefit. Everything. No matter how you might think something is a negative thing, nothing is happening negative. Everything is happening for your benefit. And that's what a lot of the young, the young guys are not understanding in terms of um those manosphere cats that are trying to convince these girls to stop shaking their ass and to stop getting on Instagram or stop getting on OnlyFans. And these guys sound terrified. Listen, you know what I mean? I done heard a lot of scared niggas in my life. You can hear the fear. They're begging these girls, like literally, stop looking at these other guys. You know what I'm saying? Y'all not paying attention to the average guys. What are we supposed to do if y'all are paying attention to guys with status? We don't have status. We're gonna lose. We're not gonna be able to get in pussy in 10 years if you guys keep behaving like that. That's what they sound like. They don't realize that's how they sound because they're terrified to lose these chicks. They're even trying to, con them and browbeat them with scriptures and, telling them that Jesus is gonna, Jesus is mad at them because they're, shaking their booty or they're in their underwear on the internet. And I just think Jesus feels completely different about it. I don't think Jesus is upset about
I wouldn't say he's not upset. I feel like, we're put on this earth to kind of make our own decisions. We always have that good and that bad conscience. Like me, I'm a believer in Jesus myself. And I always think like, man, is this thing I'm doing right? Is it right in God's eyes? So I do believe he's more disappointed than upset, but I'm trying to put this so I won't get any sort of negative feedback, but okay. I'm trying to be careful with my words here. What they're doing, I feel that they need to do this because you have to go through things in life because now when they're doing this, men are going to look at them as an object. And it's going to come a time where they get older and like, okay, I want to settle down. But all these men are just looking at me as someone who shakes ass on the internet. Nobody's taking me serious. So that's why a lot of people start having that coming to Christ moment because they're doing things that, kind of fuck them up at the beginning. But then now when they want to change their ways, it's like no one's going to take you serious. Like, if you get what I'm saying, like you were saying in 10 years, like the guys were scared about we're not going to get any pussy. I feel that in 10 years, in my opinion, a lot of women are going to have coming to the moment when they're like, shit, all these guys just look at me like pussy. I really want to find someone. That's just my opinion, though.
But doesn't Christianity tell them that they have to forgive and forget? I mean, don't. So if the chick, if the girl go out here and she catch 500 bodies,
mm-hmm.
and now she's 26 years old,
mm-hmm.
and she 500 bodies and she had an abortion, and so she has a crisis of consciousness,
mm-hmm.
and she just started going back to the church or something, and
mm-hmm.
and so now she's in the church and she ain't been with nobody
mm-hmm.
in 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
18 months go by. She ain't have sex with nobody.
Mm-hmm.
She's a good Christian girl again.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 years go by. She's a good Christian girl. She ain't had sex with nobody.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you got a guy, same timeline. He out here and he catch 500 bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And, then he like, you know what? That's too many bodies. I want to work on myself. I want to work on, my relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes back into the church. Now all he got to do is wash his dick off, and he's brand new again. So why is it that she can't 500 bodies later, and then 2 years later, does her 500 bodies matter to the Christian man?
I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but it would matter to me because, I'm just like, it was a video Yo sent earlier about guys want a virgin with no tattoos. That's not completely true, but I feel that to me personally, like, yeah, man, 500 bodies, damn, that's kind of crazy. But I know you're speaking hypothetically, but
that's what they doing now, though. When I'm saving clips, I got a clip. I'm gonna play a kill for y'all in a second. It sounds like that's where everything is trending. I heard a psychologist, a female psychologist, the other day, Sadie, I think her name is. She said, in this day and age, that a 22-year-old has slept with far more men than a 52-year-old woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a 22-year-old woman, her numbers are way higher than a 52-year-old woman
Mm-hmm.
because of the timeline have changed that dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about somebody adding up, but I don't think that is fair. If you got the Christian guy, if his 500 bodies don't matter, why should her 500 bodies don't
Not necessarily saying that the Christian guy doesn't matter though. It just depends on who you ask. Like, I'm sure it's some women out there. If a guy told them he had 500 bodies, she'd be like, no. But I'm sure it's some people who legit want to find love and understand that that's who he was in the past, or that's who she was in the past, and they're a changed person, and they'll give that person a chance. So that's just, like I said, it's totally my opinion though. But
What about a theory that I heard? It's a theory that I've heard where every time a woman sleeps with a man, she stores his DNA. So how does a woman, and if that's true, so every woman that sleeps with a different man stores his DNA, how does that affect her health and psyche? There's a big difference between her sleeping with one guy and 500 guys then.
Well, that's that's like fear mongering.
Is it fear mongering?
Yeah,
Okay.
so technically,
So it's just a theory.
yeah, it's a woman does if she slept with this guy, if he blasted off in her, she's gonna absorb that semen because there is a component to the female where semen is in it completes a hormonal process in the woman. So they actually need semen. It's part of not just for creating a child, but it balances their hormones.
So is there a difference when a woman is receiving a specific semen from one man and then, getting different ones? Or how does that work for her?
Well,
Is it semen just semen, or is it there's a difference between semen from different men?
yeah, it's gonna be a difference in semen because you have some men are gonna have enlightened semen. You going through different semen retention processes and meditation processes and yoga and all these things, and you allowing your semen to mature in a certain way. So, and she absorbs that semen, that's gonna balance her in a totally different way than if you out here and she got some dude that's a car thief and she absorbing his semen. So yeah, that does play a role in her physiology, but it's not gonna have a long-term effect on her.
Okay.
In terms, so what I mean is, so let's say she fucking this car thief, and for 6 months or something, and then she's done with the car thief. 2 years later down the line, his DNA, his semen is not having effect on her. What does happen with that guy that will have an effect on her is if he has had negative emotional or negative behavior patterns that she picks up on and she thinks, man, this is male behavior. So let's say she dealing with the car thief and he's got other things that's going on with him. If you're a car thief, he's gonna have other kind of behavior patterns that are not balanced out correctly.
Mm.
He might have aggression in his temper. He might not have emotional intelligence. He may have a lower IQ because if he didn't, he wouldn't be a car thief. So there's gonna be other things that she interact with him, and she's gonna be stabilized in those behavior patterns. So now let's say in her future, this other guy comes along and he's got an MBA from Harvard, and this guy is making money and he's doing investments and he's working, he travels, and he do a lot of things. He's got him a fucking loft apartment somewhere, you know what I mean? And he's got the kind of life that and behavior and emotional intelligence that a woman wants to be involved. Now, if she comes into this guy's life with the NBA and she's picked up on these behavior patterns from this other guy, she is going to act in ways that are familiar to her from the previous guy. And the way the new guy acts might push back in a way like, let's say the guy with the NBA may not be in the same social circle with the guy that's a car thief with low emotional intelligence and a low IQ. They may never be in the same social circle. And there's reasons for that. But this girl that picked up on those same behavior patterns and that same guy's emotional intelligence, now she's in that same social circle by virtue of her just being a woman. But she's not going to fit with that guy any more than the other guy would fit with that guy on a friendship level. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, since we're on the subject, there's this other theory that's swirling around the internet, and according to what you just said, let's just squash it right now. I'll share it. So there's a theory that when a woman is having sex with a certain partner, and she feels his semen, her body recognizes that same semen. So when her autoimmune system is letting it pass through because it's something that is coming on weekly basis, and it's allowed, right? But then when the new semen comes, the autoimmune system attacks the new semen because it's unknown. It's unknown DNA to the body. Would you say that is a myth?
No, that's not a myth. That's
That's a fact?
physiological provable. That's you can prove that physiologically, but it's not her autoimmune system that's doing it. It's his semen.
What do you mean his semen is doing it?
So if you got this guy and he is she has one guy that she's having sex with regularly, what's going to happen is man is going to create a protective barrier inside this woman.
As in how? Because his semen is dying after a week.
No, it coats everything.
What do you mean? Explain that.
It coats it. It creates a layer. It coats
But
everything.
DNA, I mean, semen dies after a week or two tops.
That doesn't mean it coats it. And it doesn't mean it dies in the same sense that what we think is dying, which means it can't impregnate.
Mhm.
So it dies like that. And it can only live like so many hours outside of your body or her body. But inside the body, it creates a protective barrier. And if another guy's semen tries to penetrate that barrier, the other guy's semen fights that off.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. I know people. It's a lot of women that cheated who got
Pregnant by the outside guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, and because it still happens. So it does create a protective barrier, but it still doesn't matter. If the other guy's got stronger swimmers than this guy, the stronger swimmers are gonna win. This guy has, it still comes down to everything is on an individual basis, and it might be her autoimmune system is playing a role in that process. I don't know exactly, but it could be playing a role in that process. But I don't think that that's a myth.
Okay. Yeah, because, it just health wise for a woman, do you think she's more healthier having different sex partners or less healthier with different sex partners?
We'd have to find, see if there's some empirical studies on that. I think she's going to be more stable. She's going to be more emotionally balanced, um, physiologically balanced if there's one semen. See, a female is not designed the way we are, and that's why two guys can't get one girl pregnant. two guys can have sex with one girl, but only one guy can get her pregnant. And it takes 9 months for her to carry that baby to term. So she's really only capable of having one child a year. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Technically, a man can have 360 children a year.
Yeah, that's true.
Technically,
Mm-hmm.
if he got it lined up like that, you know what I mean? 360 children a year. If he's capable of getting a girl pregnant every night. So explaining it that way, it would make more sense that, along with the fact that only one male, one particular sperm can complete pregnancy process, that she would be more stable in a monogamous relationship. Although she, depending on who the girl is, there are women who prefer to be promiscuous. But that doesn't mean that that's gonna stabilize her. It's gonna have long-term psychological, term emotional effects on her.
While we're on the subject of pregnancy, I always wondered, some men are attracted to pregnant women, and why do you think that is?
Because they're um
Just horny.
they're horny.
It can't be just horny. I'm talking
Well-
about specific. That's their fetish. Like, why pregnant women?
Well, because everything is
Because
You know-
here's the thing: like most men that I talk to, including myself, I see a pregnant woman. I don't find that attractive. You find an unpregnant woman and a pregnant woman. I'm choosing the one that is not pregnant every time, and it's genetically, like that. You know what I mean? I think that's just how men work. Hey, that woman is already occupied psychologically. You're looking for one that is ready to mate, right?
Yeah.
But some men are, and it's not like 1 out of 1,000,000. It's maybe 1 out of 100, which is a shit ton of men.
Yeah.
They prefer the pregnant one. So what do you think that is?
It's different. It's different mindsets. You know what I mean?
Obviously, but
It's a different mindset. So, there is, um, a attraction to a woman that's pregnant for different reasons. She's in a constant state. A pregnant woman is usually going to be, at some point, she's going to be in a constant state of sexual arousal. See what I mean? Um, she's glowing. You know what I mean? Her sex appeal is heightened. Everything about her is more attractive, more appealing, because her body's working on this baby. You know what I mean? So everything is in high gear. Her nails are growing, her hair is growing, all these things. And then you got this guy that's his kink. These guys, all these cats got different kinks. You know, some guy is only gonna find sexually attractive to his pregnant woman. Not gonna be sexually attracted to somebody else's pregnant woman because she's got somebody else's seed growing in her. So that's not appealing to him. See what I mean? And then but he's gonna find that same sex appeal in his own woman. She's pregnant, not in somebody else's. But you have different men. They're different. They're all made different.
okay. Still doesn't answer my question.
You said why do they do that?
That's the thing. It goes against nature. It just goes against everything a man, is looking for genetically. You're not. You don't look to. Nature never does that. You know
For
what I mean?
me and you, it goes against nature. We're gonna be sexually attracted to our own wife, but we're gonna be sexually attracted to the woman we get pregnant. But that's a lion's mentality. You have to remember there are men that's gonna have a hyena's mentality. So a hyena's mentality is not gonna mind that this chick is already pregnant, because this guy he doesn't care. It's like the dudes is running the train, and this guy don't mind being second. And so you got this guy, he's only gonna be in the train if he's first. Like, if I'm first, then I'm good. Otherwise, y'all can enjoy yourself. See what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that mentality, he has to be first or not at all. And so, he's not going to be attracted to somebody else's pregnant woman.
Right.
You know?
All right. Let's hear another clip. Unless you have something to say.
I was gonna say that's definitely a kink.
What is the craziest rumor that you've ever heard about yourself? A big rumor that went around in my friend group was that I was like queen. Like everyone kept saying that like they were having me and like and the whole time I thought they were just me regularly. When the whole time I was actually just being I had no idea.
Okay, so you thought that it was regular?
Yeah, I thought the whole time that all of them were having me like regular style.
But you were actually doing
Yeah, the whole time. And then the first time I had like real actual not it was like really different.
So when you heard that about yourself, like what did you say?
I just thought it was super stupid because I obviously wasn't doing like I was very aware that that was a lie. Unfortunately, it wasn't a lie.
Wait.
All right, let me ask you this. Did you understand what she said?
No, that's
Okay.
why.
She was saying that she was having anal sex instead of regular sex when she thought it was regular, but it was anal sex constantly with different men. That's what she was saying.
Whoa.
Okay, I have a couple questions. First question that I have is, what does this woman do for a living? Because I don't know her. I've never seen her. It sounds like to me, first thing that came to my mind is like, you know, she does this for whatever, Instagram. She might be a porn star, right? That's what it sounds like. So she's doing this shit like she's making up a story. Because like it sounds like, you know, a fetish for men, you know, anal, make up a story, tell it out there, you know, men are gonna go, oh, let me see where's this girl's you know, page, who is she, find her, you know, and maybe even an OnlyFans page, and now, oh, okay, let me see what she does, because, you know, it's like a commercial for her. That's what it sounds like. The first thing that came to my mind is like she made this as a commercial.
I don't think that's at all what's happening. I don't think it's for men at all. See, you know, men think any of these things that women are doing is for us. All the OnlyFans, it's got nothing to do with us. What this girl was saying, it's got nothing to do with us. That's what she's targeting is women. So you gotta understand how powerful that statement is she just made. This is what she's saying. She's saying that it was a rumor going around her friend group that she was an anal queen. And she said she didn't believe the rumor. She said, and all the guys in the friend group was saying that they were fucking her in the ass. And she said she didn't know they was fucking her in the ass. She said that she thought they was having regular sex with her. And then she did have regular sex, and then she said that was completely different. And then so she found out that everybody was saying she was an anal queen was right, and were all fucking. So this, you gotta remember, the way you think is the exception to the rule. So obviously, this is for a weak man's mentality. That's gonna be a commercial. She don't give a shit about weak man's mentality. What she's trying to do is the same thing that be. Remember, girls are group think. Remember, girls go by group think. So that message for all the girls that are already out there in that lifestyle, what she just did, she just took it, she turned the volume up way high on that lifestyle. Because what that sounds like to the female that's listening to that, saying that if she was having anal sex this whole time and she didn't know she was having anal sex, so the girls out there that's not having anal sex are thinking they had no idea anal sex could feel so good that another girl wouldn't know the difference. So and now remember, you talking about girls that ain't even have anal sex. They just, you know, they've been having regular sex with guys, no interest in anal sex. But now you having this girl telling them, I was having anal sex the whole time and I didn't even know I was having it. What they're hearing is anal sex can feel that good that you can't tell the difference. That's what that sounds to like female ears. See what I mean? And so what that does is it ratchets up the volume. See so think about this. No matter what videos you hear, her Instagram, no matter what music you hear, any of this. Remember what nature's trying to do. Nature's trying to get rid of weak men. And it's going to do it by any means necessary. It's trying to get rid of weak men. That's all this is about. And so by empowering, if she, let's say she influences a few men or hundreds of men or maybe even thousands of to follow her Instagram or try to find her on OnlyFans, no matter how much she influences men directly, the women that she's turning into more duplicating to turn like her, she's trying to make duplications of herself. That means she's going to influence millions because she's duplicating herself. See, guys just have really weak constitutions. So that's why they get porn addictions. Porn is not for men. Porn is for women because they're groupthink. A woman can, a guy watch porn and he's gonna masturbate to this because he has a weak mind. Girl watches porn, she's gonna be able to feel whatever that chick's feeling just by watching her or by hearing her. She can hear you ever been in a frat house and you got somebody in the back is banging and you can hear this girl back there getting pounded and she just making the most amazing sounds, and then all of a sudden all the girls in the house eyes are rolling in the back of their head. They want whatever she's having. See what I'm saying? So she just swung the entire frat house because all those girls can hear her. None of those girls they're gonna hear this woman yelling and screaming in pleasure. None of them are gonna be like, okay, this is not where I'm supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be. They're gonna think, holy shit, what are they doing back? Am I right?
I mean, some people's gonna laugh about it, but some people might just leave.
They might leave.
They're 100% gonna leave. Not everyone, but some people.
I ain't never seen anybody leave.
I've been to a club called Porn and Chicken, open Mondays in Chicago.
Porn and chicken?
Yeah.
Where's that?
Yeah. You can Google it. I don't know exactly, but I've been to it a few times. It's literally what it sounds like. There's porn on TV, and they serve chicken. And it's a nightclub. Open Mondays.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And what is it like?
It's just like it's not official. It's like if you mix a nightclub and a bar scene at the same time. People are just chilling in there, drinking, talking. There's porn on TVs. And then, they bring out the chicken, I don't know, let's say like at 1 a.m. And you just take some chicken, fried chicken.
Everybody's eating chicken and
I don't know if it was everybody, but majority tried a few pieces,
That sounds like a good business model when you think about it.
It's pretty good. I thought it was chill, for a Monday night. Not much better things to do. If this thing was open on Saturday, you might hit or miss. But Mondays, there's not much shit going on. So, people want to go out. That's a great place to go.
But if you're sitting in the bar and it's a nightclub bar type situation, and there's porn playing in the background.
But it was no sound. There's no sound of porn.
Yeah,
it's just a visual.
It's just a visual.
Yeah.
That's so that it's not interfering with the conversation, so everybody can still have a conversation. So you're sitting here talking to this girl, and at the same time, she can see this other chick getting banged on the screen while she's talking to you. So basically, the club is doing part of the heavy lifting for you.
Right. I never thought of it before until you just said that.
Yeah.
I've been in there. I just like, whatever, I didn't even care about the porn, like it didn't even affect me at all.
It's not for you.
Right. But I didn't think it would affect the women like that.
Yeah, it does.
So it's, whoever gets a chance should take their girl to Porn and Chicken on that first date.
Yeah, that'd be a great place to go on a
I think
first
so.
date.
I think it's genius.
Yeah, because women have groupthink.
Yeah.
So if she's already if a female's in that space where she's out with the guy and maybe she's thinking about going all the way with him, that's gonna push her in that direction if he don't mess it up. But if you got a girl that's not in that mindset, she probably won't go there.
What's interesting is I was actually one time invited to the Porn and Chicken by a female,
Hmm.
like to that place to go. She was a stripper.
She was trying to get you.
Yeah.
Trying to get your pants off.
Now that I think about it, I didn't think about anything at the time. I thought it was just like because it's Monday, there's not much shit to do, you know.
No, she was
So-
trying. She was definitely trying to get your
Mhm.
pants off, man.
I
If she
I
take
see
you
it
to
now.
porn and chicken, if a chick takes me to porn and chicken, I'm gonna know.
Yeah, now that I think about it, you know, she wasn't really fond of the chicken.
Yeah. So this is what I want to ask Frank,
Okay.
because you got more. Tell me more about your religious background in terms of Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up in a strict religious household. Do you think that Christianity plays a role in your social dynamic? Like, do
Mhm.
you prefer a woman that's Christian? Or do you lead with Christianity? Or
Mhm.
like when you, in certain scenarios, you'll say, I'm not going to do that because I consider myself a good Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a dynamic that's always with you.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so tell me about that. What is that lens like in 26-year-old
Mm-hmm.
African American man
Mm-hmm.
that is your belief structure?
Mhm.
How do you navigate this new world out?
So I've always believed it's opposite to everything. Like growing up, obviously I was in a Christian household. We always prayed, we always went to church. And, as I got older, started to more think for myself versus what, our older siblings or my older, like my mom and my uncles would tell us to do. So personally, how I look at the world is, even when we was talking about the music industry, it's just so much devil and Satan worship going on out here. Like people, I feel like so much people are pushing, this devil and this Satan image. And I got to think to myself, like, man, why is it so much? Everything has to do with Christianity or some type of God, or like, what's the big one? It's a big clothing brand that kind of is like the anti
Balenciaga?
Balenciaga.
Okay, so it's like they push all this, this evil and Satan worship, and it makes me think like why, and like I was thinking, like I would say, it's always the opposite of something. So when there's bad, there's good. So now when I start thinking for myself and actually looking at the world and seeing how things are, it's like, all right, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that because like I grew up around friends who I guess didn't really have that belief in them, so they kind of were just doing anything. Like they was saying, like I stopped listening to the artist Lil Uzi Vert, man. He was just kind of the stuff he was saying, and he was out there saying like, he's a devil worshiper. But in terms of where I'm at now, is just now I really kind of boosted my belief in God and also want that for my woman, because I feel like that's what's good, like having someone who's going to pray for you, just be there for you, and has the same religious beliefs that you do. That kind of makes sense.
It makes perfect sense, man.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know what it looks like from your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in a Christian household,
Mhm.
and my mom is devout Christian.
Mhm.
I felt like at some point in my adult life, I felt like Christianity failed,
Mm-hmm.
and so I just went looking for deeper spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what led me to researching and understanding ancient spiritual cultures,
Mm-hmm.
studying Egypt, came and landed on that particular spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you. It's important that everybody needs either a spirituality that is, they feel like it's ingrained in their heart,
Mhm.
or either spirituality or religious belief structure
Mhm.
that can be like a guide to them somehow.
Mhm.
And so, like you were saying, like Uzi Vert, what's that other kid name that's like he just like cross dresser rapper?
Lil Nas.
Yeah, Lil Nas.
Mhm.
So when you have artists out there that are overtly pushing like
Mhm.
satanic agenda, what they're actually doing is trying to drive people
Mhm.
to Christianity. So it's people think what they're doing is trying to pull them away from Christianity. That's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So think about um imagine religions are in these different pens.
Mm-hmm.
So in the Bible they'll say like Jesus Christ will refer to his followers as our sheep.
Mm-hmm.
And so imagine all the Christians are in this huge sheep pen,
Mm-hmm.
and all the Muslims are in another huge sheep pen.
Mm-hmm.
Certain things happen culturally in terms of music, and different societal things begin to happen, and the gates swing open on those pens.
Mm-hmm.
And so now the sheep kind of start wandering out of that pen. You
Mm-hmm.
see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so what they're trying to do is get them to go back in the pen. It's like, go back in there, get back in there.
How are they, these artists, how are they getting people to go back to Christianity or any religion by, doing these songs where they're getting more popular? So if I'm a listener and I like this little Nas, right? Like, I'm not going back. Like, this year this man has 1 million followers, right? Next year he's got 4. After that he's got 8. Like, he's got more people following him. They're not going back to Christianity. They're actually going against it in a way if he's got more followers.
Well, you think about it this way. Think about things in terms of you have believers and you have true believers. Now, the people that are converting, let's say Lil Nas X, you listening to Lil Nas X music, and you used to be a Christian and now you're into Lil Nas X and everything that Lil Nas X represents. Well, that's okay. They don't want you anyway in Christian pen, because you would have just created problems for the other Christians in there. The ones that are true believers and they see Nas X and they were wandering outside the pen and they thought it was safe out there. And now they see Lil Nas X and it's like, oh shit, I better get my ass back in there. That's who that's for. See what I mean?
But is Lil Nas making music to bring Christianity back? I don't think so.
That's exactly what he's doing. So that's why he's allowed to make the music that he's making. That's why.
But is he consciously doing it?
Yes,
He's aware of this.
Of course he is, and that's what. So when you wanna see people claim they know what the Illuminati is, or they claim that they this is Illuminati and this is Illuminati, they don't really understand what it is or how it works. They just, because they haven't taken any oaths, they're not part of any type of societies. And so they're just from the outside looking in and saying, oh, that's what I think it looks like. And because they think they already know everything, they're not saying that's what I think. They're saying that's what I know. You see what I mean? People don't usually question themselves if they're not self-aware. They just assume they have the right answer. So they think they know what it looks like. But it looks a little different than what they think. Lil Nas X is conscious of what he's doing if he's trying to be extreme enough to push the Christians, the true believers that are trying to wander outside of the safe zone. He's focusing on pushing them back in there. Now, the ones that become his followers, that are paying to hear his music and all of that, he doesn't give a shit about them. He cares more about pushing the ones that are wandering away from their belief system. He cares more about pushing them back in there. You see what I mean? Because remember, karma, the understanding of karma is a little different than what people think it is. Karma is about action. It means a certain action. See what I mean? It's not something that you receive. You know what I mean? That's dharma. Karma is actually an action or emotion. So if his intentions are to help push the Christians back into the safe zone, his reward is the follow. if his intention is to get followers or to get people to become some devil worshiper like he is, which he probably not, but if that's his intention, that plan won't get.
Then
What happens to his followers? He's getting more and more,
so
every year. So what goes on with these people?
They're doing what you see happening in society with all this, there's a lot of, things happening out here.
But he's creating that issue.
He's not
He's not
creating
creating.
that.
He's just putting it to the surface.
He's not right. It's just part of the purge. He's not creating it.
Well, I mean, I get that, but like I can be persuading you right now to, kill somebody, right? And you do it, and I could be like, well, it wasn't me. I mean, he was all along gonna do it. I just got it out of him. That's just what he's doing. He's persuading people to do some stuff, and a certain percentage will do it.
Well, that means it's already there.
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
But
Like,
but that's the point. So you're technically agreeing with me. If you talk me into killing somebody, that means I have a very, very weak constitution, or I just wanted to kill somebody anyway. Wanted to unalive somebody anyway. I just have a very constitution. Nas is simply the people that have his proclivities and they don't feel safe enough to express those proclivities. He allows them to feel safe enough to express those proclivities. They are more, they can come out. It's a purge.
all right, let me ask you another question. So, Lil Nas is a devil worshiper, and his followers are some potentially a devil worshippers, right?
Supposedly.
And those devil worship followers, are they wasting their time?
To be devil worship?
Yeah.
In what way?
Well, in a way where the priority of the Little Nas is to bring people back to Christianity or any other religion, then the opposite, what he's doing is a fraud, is fake. There is no devil. The main purpose of his music is to get people back to Christianity.
Right.
So then, are these followers devil worshippers? And that it's just not doesn't exist.
They're just lost sheep, man.
They're lost sheep, so they're losing they're just wasted their time. Like they're not. There's no devil. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yes and no. Yes and no. There is a
So
devil
explain.
and there isn't a devil. So you gotta remember these things work a little different than most people think they work. So, is there a devil? No, there's not. Can a group of people get together, collectively believe that there is a devil, then they put their intention into that invisible conscious structure or that invisible being, which is called an egregore or an avatar, and they can create a devil. So if you have um 3 billion Christians that all believe that the devil is real, the devil is real in that belief system to them, because remember, I have 8 point whatever billion people on the planet. That means we have 8 point whatever billion realities on, because everybody is living in a different reality. So there's a guy sitting next to me and the devil is absolutely real to him, then the devil is absolutely real. You see, and you can't, it's not up for debate. And if you have 8 billion, you have 2 billion people that agree with him that the devil is real, then they're putting a lot of power, whether they realize it or not. They are creating that devil. They may not realize that they're creating, empowering that devil, that invisible being they're terrified of, because they're pouring belief into it. So he becomes real.
So in this case, would you even be able to say that Lil Nas is a preacher? It's just not for officially like we know preachers, but he's preaching to the devil and to a certain devil that he has created, and then everybody else is just following along.
I'll answer it this way: all musicians are priests. They're all priests. Beyonce is a high priestess. Jay-Z is a high priest. Lil Nas is a high priest. Jay-Z is a high priest. Future is a high priest. They're all priests. You see what I mean?
That makes more sense. Yeah.
And they are all the head of a church. What Lil Nas is the head of a church. What Beyonce is the head of a church. Same with Jay-Z. Same with Kanye. Same with all of them. They all are the head of churches.
But are they head of their own churches?
Yeah, they're the head of their own churches.
Okay.
They're the head of their own churches. But you can have, Doja Cat is the head of a church. It's you have to understand what I would say Doja Cat's church is as powerful as any what you would consider to be a real church. She's probably more powerful. What's the number one thing that happens in a church? It's music, song, ritual. That's the purpose of going to church, because that's what binds you together is the song and the prayer. That's exactly what music is. Music is simply song and prayer. And when you are whatever the hook is, whatever the chorus is, that's the trance. We're all saying the same trance over and over and over and over. Music and the vibration, it's all a church.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I never thought of it that way before, but it makes sense.
Because I'm just going by exoteric principles. I'm just going by these universal laws. So whether or not a person understands that that's what's happening, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. It makes a child doesn't have to understand how you run a household any more than an adult that thinks he's an adult has to understand how the world is being. See what I mean?
Right.
It's just you. The child shows up when it's time to eat, play when it's time to go play, when it's bedtime, when it's shower time. The child just shows up. And most adults, the majority of adults show up in life just like that same child. They don't understand the complications and engineering that goes on behind the scenes that create the world and stabilize the world that they live in, so that they can have an economy and they can have jobs and they can go to a gas station and they can buy Christmas presents and they can go on trips and they can do all these things. There's an appearance that there's more freedoms than what a child has, because technically there's more movement, but it's still, they don't have any idea about how to run the world any more than a child has about how to run a household. You just tell them it's almost Christmas time and gets excited. You just start acting right because it's almost Christmas time. It's almost your birthday. It's time to eat. It's bedtime. Same principle. People don't, so people that are going to the church of Beyonce or going to the church of Cardi B, and then they think that they're going to the church, whatever pastor or that, Baptist church or Christian church or whatever it is they do, Catholic church or whatever it is they do. They think that that's the church, but they don't know that, Cardi B or Doja Cat or Beyonce's church is much, much more powerful because they spend more time in those churches and that music than they do in their own church.
Frank, I got something interesting for you, bro. So since you're a single man, I think next time you meet a girl, you better ask her what she listens to music-wise, and then you better research that shit. Better listen to it before you go on a date with her.
I like women who listen to R&B.
So you're like a lover man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cause I love R&B.
Which kind of R&B you like? The '90s stuff or you like the new stuff?
Mix it both. So I'm in the era of Not gonna lie, I listen to a lot of Usher. So I'm kind of like not too in the '90s, but like the early 2000s. So
I like Usher. Usher, one of my favorite.
yeah, one of my
Usher,
favorites.
Usher
Too.
was like a departure of that old '90s, what they like say the golden age of R&B.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, at the time, I like Jodeci.
Mm-hmm.
I like the guys that were really a little more bad boy type. I kind of like that music. Like I didn't really like Boys to Men. You know what I'm saying? I didn't. They were cool. They made good music, but you know, it was not my necessarily my vibe. When everybody was in the Boys to Men, I was in the camp with Jodeci.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Jodeci. I could relate more
Yeah.
to what Jodeci was talking.
Mm-hmm.
Usher, yeah, definitely Usher.
Still like, might get some backlash, but I still like R. Kelly.
Yeah, I still like R. Kelly too. You're not gonna get no backlash in here.
I still like R. Kelly. Who else? But for the new guys, I like Brent, but the way his R&B is a lot more toxic. Brent Fayez, it's like toxic R&B.
I gotta check him out. You gotta put something in the message board so I can check him out because I don't know if I.
What about female artists? Who do you like from there?
Female artists, I like. Let's see. I like Kalani. She's alright. I like SZA.
Well, describe what they sing about.
So SZA, she's like a mix of like heartbreak and she's that girl at the same time. It's kind of like how a lot of R&B is going. So it's like I did get heartbroken, but I'm still that B word. So it's I don't know. It just kind of gets you going, but you can understand, kind of relate where they come from. But if you want to play a song, it's by Brent Fayez. You can listen to. It's called WYA.
Send me a link when you get.
That's the most toxic song on this planet right now.
I don't know about that. I think Weekend just came out with toxic.
Think so?
But I haven't heard your boy, so I can't.
I think he got Weekend beat.
Have you heard that latest Weekend song?
What's it called?
It's called One of the Girls.
Mm-mm.
Who is your favorite artist?
I don't listen to much music, man. I don't have a favorite artist.
Do you have a favorite music?
I would say it's like hip hop.
So out of hip hop, you had to be stranded on an island with only five different artists' music. Who would that be?
Listen, like now after listening to you guys, I'm not listening to no music. Like I'm off of music. I'm a straight up podcast. That's it.
No, music is good. Don't music.
I meant that as a joke.
Yeah. But I want to know if you stranded on an island.
I'm not sure.
Who would be the five artists that you listen?
I can't even name 5 artists, bro. That's how bad I am at music.
Your 5.
Here's the thing. I listen to more like European music, like different language, right? And here's what I want to show you guys. Like, I want to share this with you that in Europe, like what I've noticed is, for example, in the 60s, 70s, right? It was more like it was 90% of the songs were just about love and alcohol. Like 80s too, right? 90s it started a little bit more like into more like drugs, right? 2000s for sure. Now 2010 and up, it's all about money, alcohol, and drugs, and women obviously in that.
So do you think European music is being directly affected by American music?
Absolutely, and I can see the connection, but now, what I've noticed in Europe is if you go to a bar, if you're listening to love songs, there's a certain money that bar can make off of you, right? There's a limit to it. You can't make a shit ton of money off of a guy, in a bar scene, right? You go to a nightclub, bottle service, right? A lot of women around you, drugs, right? That's a moneymaker. So if you go to Europe now, you're in a nightclub scene. You're not going to bars, right? Like they're big into nightclub. It's not as much as it's much more over there, right? So when you go to a nightclub with the bars, with bottle service, with drugs, these nightclubs are making a shit ton more money than before, right? So their music is cultured to that. Like, it's all about the drugs, the bottle service, getting spending a lot of money at the nightclub. That's what the music is mainly for young people right now. And you can see it. You go to the nightclub, it's literally that. It's like their bathrooms are made to, like fucking do cocaine. Literally, like you go in there, you go inside, it's a 360, just, doors. You can, like, men and women are just waiting in line to get in there, right? And they're literally made to, smoke, just snort cocaine in the bathrooms.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's some nightlife, it's partying. People gonna do some cocaine in the bathroom. That's what they do in the bathroom. It's cocaine. Um, I like European music. I like it, but I think America gets blamed for a lot in and around the world culturally because it sets the tone. Music sets the tone culturally. Whatever,
Absolutely.
whatever the music is doing, the culture is going to follow because people, mostly women, have groups. So you want your music to appeal to the women. What made Future toxic, what made Future so largely popular is not because men, he liked his music, but because he made toxic male behavior more attractive to women.
Mm-hmm.
You had to know how to do it. If you knew how to be toxic like Future, then that made you more attractive because he set the tone for what became attractive, which was his toxic behavior. So everything women have, women control the thing. Everything is geared towards, nothing is geared towards. Men are supposed to be focusing on craft, supposed to be focusing on legacy and accomplishing things and spirituality, meditation. These is what things men are supposed to be focusing on. And then it makes life simpler if you have one woman to deal with, but want to step away from work for a minute and go out and have a good time with the girls, then you can do that. But nightlife is designed for women.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way, but it does make sense.
So I believe, even though Future has a really, bad effect on relationships nowadays, I want to talk about how, drill rap has also affected our generation because, I left Future, he was always, fuck all these bitches, get money. But now we have, Chief Keef, he started it, but now we got Young Boy, now we got all these drill rappers. I feel like men are also weak because now when they listen to his music, they feel like, oh, I got to be hard, I got to carry a gun, I got to act tough like this, which is fucking up our generation. So Future, he did his part with relationships, but now it's these new rappers, Young Boy, King Von, and a lot of these drill rappers who is really like getting into our generation. Said now everybody thinks they're tough.
What about like you got King Von, Lil Durk?
Mm-hmm.
Would you consider Lil Durk a drill rapper?
Yeah, but Lil Durk, he's more of a, I consider him versatile because he does also have, his soft side where he raps about his, his wife, his girl India. But Vaughn, none of that. He was more killing somebody, robbing somebody. Same thing as kind of Young Boy, and that's really affecting our generation.
NBA Young Boy.
Mm-hmm.
So, what about Lil Baby?
Lil Baby, he's more like get money, hustle, sell drugs. So he's not really into the killing scene. He's just more like selling drugs, getting money, fast money, making it seem like selling drugs was the way.
That was just his way out,
Mm-hmm.
selling drugs. Yeah, I know what you mean, man. Um, the drill rap,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like culture is gonna always fall mercy, be at the mercy of that same type of group.
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, whether they want to see it or not, they have been historically a part of oppressed dynamic in the country.
Mm-hmm.
They've been intentionally oppressed.
Mm-hmm.
And so that makes them more vulnerable to things like that type of.
Mm-hmm.
So they're living in a constant pressure cook. Whether it's hard to, it becomes harder to think on an individual basis. The reason why natural laws allow that to happen to people does because that consistent level of pressure on that collective group for the ones that every once in a while one that pops out of there
Mm-hmm.
be extraordinary. See what I mean? Get these extraordinary personalities that are able to come out of that type of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll get guys like Z, Dash, and so many different pop artists that rise above because of the constant level of pressure that's applied to the.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just, I wish we had more Kanye's, even though it's kind of crazy to say. But growing up listening to Kanye, he was never like that. Killing.
He was intelligent,
he was positive, man. Like,
especially with College Dropout.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how we just went left like this.
808s,
Mm-hmm.
but it was killing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the intention. So everything that's happening is happening for everybody's benefit. There's nothing that's not happening for you. So the fact that you have that particular perspective that you have,
Mm-hmm.
the way you feel about Kanye, the way you feel about hip hop, the way you feel about real rap,
Mm-hmm.
age, all of those things give you a very unique voice.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to find what that unique voice is, figure out what you want to say about what's happening. And that can be through spoken word, it could be through writing movies, it could be through music,
Mm-hmm.
but there's only one version of you out there. And all these different things that are happening, whether some of them seem to be good or bad, they're all happening for your benefit,
Mm-hmm.
to give you a unique perspective, unique voice.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out what you want to say about whatever's happening around. It's the same thing Ice Cube did, same thing Charles did,
Mm-hmm.
Hot Chili Peppers, Beatles, everybody the same.
We just got to bring some more R&B back. That singing and crying outside a girl window in the rain type.
You like that one? 'Cause, baby, forgive me. I'm not gonna do it again. You know what I mean?
That's what the world needs, man. Everybody want to be tough nowadays, man. But to each his own.
Yeah, it's not. It's yeah. I see what you're saying. What do you think?
Well, I'm wondering how this whole music industry, and I would say this new age is coming out of the United States, out of Hollywood, right? But I don't see it affecting the entire world. Like, I don't think India gives a fuck about Kanye or anybody else in here. They don't give a shit. Like, it doesn't affect them. They're not on this wave. Like, I'm in the wave, right? I live in the United States. I don't listen to Kanye, right? But I might get affected by the wave because if I talk to that girl, she's, listening to Kanye or, whoever else is affecting her. So it's affecting me. But that person in India, nothing.
Well,
I did. Go ahead.
I was gonna say we just did talk about how you said it's now European drill rap, and it's probably been inspired from America.
But it's in Europe. I understand. Europe is small, bro. Small place, and compared to the world, Europe is westernized. That's why. But India is not westernized.
Are you familiar with the Indian hip hop scene?
No.
It's a lot of
India has a hip hop scene. England, Europe has a hip hop scene. Africa has a hip hop scene. Nigerian hip hop is, you can tell the difference between Nigerian hip hop and Ethiopian hip hop from Ghanese hip hop. They all have their own, just the same way. Like in the U.S., you have California style versus the Dirty South versus East Coast
Mm-hmm.
versus Chicago. You have India participates in that, so India has hip hop that has their flavor the same way the Dirty South has their flavor, the same way Nigeria has their flavor. So hip hop is a language that is expressed through um the youth, through a young culture. So that's why they always say, hip hop is a young man's game. Something you want to get into as a hip hop artist because it always speaks to the culture. And no matter as long as you have a culture, you're gonna have hip hop. It'll never go away.
I see what you're saying. What about technology wise? I mean, now it's spreading a lot more further out, and it seems like we got copycats. It comes out of, let's say, the Hollywood now. Europe has it. Africa has it. It's a copy. It just spreads a lot more further and faster through technology, and it's being sped up. With faster internet. Internet access on your phone, right? Like, where do we see this in 10 years?
See what part of
The music industry.
I think the music industry, the biggest, it's kind of hard to say where the music, how it's going to evolve because it's playing back and forth with the social culture. Everything is extremely sexual, and a lot of that's coming from the music. But what's happening right now has always happened throughout history. The only difference is that they did not have the type of technology that.
But that technology is making a huge difference.
That's my
Mm-hmm.
point. It's making
Huge difference.
So that's my point.
And it's not going to slow down. It's going to get better.
It's not going to slow down. It's only going to keep advancing. And so we have no empirical studies now to know what the world is going to look like in 10 years. We don't know. There's in the 1950s, we saw the 1980s coming. In the 1970s, we knew what the 1990s were going to look like. In the 1800s, we knew what the 1900s were going to be. In the Roaring '20s, we knew what the '80s were going to look like. But now, because of technology, we don't know what 2050 is.
That kind of that just made me kind of think of the point when you said that 22-year-olds now have a lot more bodies than 52-year-olds. Like, I kind of think, like, what would have happened if technology was like this was introduced back then? I think it would have, people like Ted Bundy would have had a. That's kind of crazy to say, but he would have a free fall because we have dating apps, all
Ooh.
types of Ted Bundy.
Yeah. Well, those types are coming back though. That's going to be a product of an over sexualized society. So, I mean, we can estimate that the serial killer mentality will manifest. Hopefully, it doesn't get too bad.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember the height of serial killing culture, we had one around just before the Victorian age, and they were able to get a control on that, and so everything really went conservative. Victorian England during that time, you had some serial killers pop.
Mm-hmm.
Then when it really got bad was the 1970s. The serial killers were really the celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
We have more serial killers than we have football stars in the 1970s, and so and I mean literal. And so, but it was, remember, the serial killers came in as an offshoot of 1968, which was Summer of Love.
Mm-hmm.
And you had this hippie culture, and you had what was called the Summer of Love, and everything was free love, and everybody was getting high. They didn't give a shit. They didn't have to know you. They was just gonna bang on the beach. Everybody was screwing everybody. see you just see a hot girl and she ready to bang. And it was just permeating through society. Everybody was banging everybody. LSD, then all of a sudden, serial killers pop up as a result of no restraint, no self control, bad attitude toward women. And that's what this manosphere is creating.
Well, we have serial killers now, and you know how they are. They're modernized. They're mass shooters. That's who they are.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. But that's we're gonna go back to having these serial killers that are targeting women.
I don't think so. Here's why I don't think they're gonna come back more popular, because you can, if you really want to, you can catch any killer right now. You know why? Because every single one of them is probably dumb as shit, and he's bringing a phone with him. There's a camera on almost every corner. They're not smart. They're not. These are not movies. You know, they're stupid. They're gonna get caught.
Let's
Because
hope
you
you're
can
right.
see right now, something happens in front here. If they really want to find out who did it, let's just look at all the phones. Who was there at that time, and go from there, right?
What cell phone towers pinged here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention they can look at all your messages. You get into a car accident now. You know what they do? If they were, they do the real proper investigation. What'd you do on your phone at the time? Were you texting at the time?
Yeah.
Was your phone active? What was it doing?
They can find out, and they won't really bother with it. But if there's a loss of life,
Right.
if there's some type of fatality, and they
Yes.
really need to hold somebody accountable,
That's correct.
they have the technology to do
Right.
that. And,
Right.
and you're right. So let's hope that, be optimistic and think that these guys, less of these guys can, see through the cracks. History tells us wherever you get a concentration of weak men, you're gonna get a serial, because serial killers are the product of very weak men. And right now we have epidemic. It's far more murder suicides now, because guys can't handle their female behavior the way women are acting. It's like, I've seen more murder suicides. So the girl wants to break up, she's cheating on him, and then the guy just kills her and kills himself. That's happening. That's happening a lot.
I've heard of those.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So murder suicides it's epidemic, but that's a result of that weak male mentality.
Here's another thing I thought of. Don't you think in the 70s, when these serial killers were popular, right? Don't you think that the main reason, I would say the main reason at the time, was they were so popular because that's how you control the female population. You make them scared. Hey, don't go out there. Don't sleep with these guys because it could be a serial killer. Don't go hitchhiking, right? Make them scared. Get them back in control. Go back to the church. Something like that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
The same social dynamic as with Lil Nas X. The same social dynamic. So, but in a lot of cases, some of these serial killers pop up organically, like, as a part of an immune system. See what I mean? Crazy as that may sound, if you have a social construct where you want your women behaving a certain type of way, with Christians' beliefs, and so the girls of the 1970s, the behavior it was a lot similar to what you see now, but it wasn't as broadcast as what you see now, because remember, they didn't have social media.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't, all they had was TV. So, and radio. So you're looking on TV, you go out in public, you go out in parks, the way women started dressing was different. The way everybody's getting high and everybody's, banging everybody. And this had such a, such a point where it saturated American society. So does nature organically create this man, serial killer, in order to push back and push these people back into the right behavior patterns?
Mm-hmm.
That's occultic principles at play. You know, so what's going to happen in order to get everything back on track now? Because everything is completely out of whack. The men need a book to tell them how to behave like men, how to behave like princes. You don't have that in America, so they need that.
Well, don't you think if we don't do anything right now as culture, nothing, just leave everything as it is, don't you think we'll fall back into into normalcy or whatever it is? Eventually, what's going to happen is the weak men will perish, strong men will, you know, stay and flourish and have kids generations from now. We're gonna be all right. It's just it's a wave we get into. Just don't do anything. Just let it be.
Well, sometimes that's possible, but right now, I don't think that's possible. Men have to do something. The way things are, the way things are happening is creating the opportunity so that men know how to do something and know what to do. It's creating the opportunity for us to do something in order to help participate in getting things back on track. If nobody does anything about what's happening now, the American social structure will collapse. We're spreading this. It's a virus. It's a sexual virus that's happening. You have everybody, the genders, everything is going completely crazy. This isn't happened before. It hasn't been this bad because we haven't had the the element of social media. So, and these things happened in ancient Rome and Greece and Europe and Egypt and Iraq, Babylon. When these things happened back during those times, it was much easier to contain those things because you didn't have this social media. So, but these behavior patterns are spreading like wow.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. So when they're spreading like this, you can spread positive or negative during using social media.
Right.
So there's a lot of negative spread. So we need the equal amount of positive to
Yeah,
keep it in control.
exactly. You got to create a balance. There's not enough balance right.
Yeah, because negativity sells.
Yeah.
And everybody's clickbaiting these negative news, negativity. It's just much more nicer to watch. It's more interesting. It's clickbaity.
So, what do you think about? What are your thoughts on going to hell?
Me? Oh.
Anybody? What do you think about hell? Do you think these people are going to hell?
When you say these people, who are you referring to?
Little Nas
Like
listeners.
like Lil Nas and his, yeah, exactly.
Um, I honestly believe, if you are, because they're in a way they're basically saying Satan. I'm a Satan worshiper in a way. Like you were saying, Lil Nas. I still kind of don't know if Lil Nas is kind of playing a part where he's trying to push people back into Christianity because, like, a lot of people already think he's sold his soul. So if the term selling your soul for fame and money, I feel like that's what a lot of people kind of want to do because they're seeing, okay, Lil Nas, somebody who can barely, like, I can't say really say I'm a fan of his. So in my opinion, he's not a good artist to me. I'm not speaking for everybody, but someone who can, barely make music, but for some reason he has all this fame and money, they're gonna automatically assume, okay, he sold his soul. So I feel like, you know, kind of living in a heaven and hell on earth if we think about it, because we have killings going on, rape, a bunch of different stuff kind of going on, but we also have, people who are trying to do the good thing. And I feel like Lil Nas, he and Lil Uzi, they are kind of promoting that, hell is cool. This is what happens when you have the devil in your life. You get rich, you get famous, you get successful. And that's what I feel like that's the image they're pushing.
So I think. So you think hell is here?
In a way, yeah. We all, well, not we all, but hell is definitely here on Earth already. It's a it's definitely a mental game. We have people who are speaking much so in the city of Chicago. We have people who are love to kill, like, not even just Chicago, but everywhere. Who kind of love to kill, who love to do these kind of bad things. And I feel that that's kind of a hell on its own. If you just constantly want to kill, you want to steal, you want to destroy, you're fighting a war in your mind that just tell you to keep going on this bad shit, and that's personal hell. That's stuff like the Bible says not to do.
What do you think? Hell, do you think you're gonna go to hell?
I don't think so. Well, now I got a little different, thinking than him because we've talked before about this, and I kind of agree more. I'm leaning towards what we talked about before, as in hell is here on earth, and by you making your decisions, you make your this place here hell or heaven for yourself. So it's a mental game. So I think mainly what you do here is what you make it for yourself.
Yeah, I agree. I think anything that's associated with physical sensation is here. So if there's any type of physical sensation you're gonna feel in a positive sense to an any kind of large degree, which means you're in heaven.
Hmm.
Um, that's here. Hell is here. So, I mean, it's all relative.
Hmm.
What Lil Nas X is doing may look like hell to me and you, but it may be heaven to him.